Hello everyone, we are up to and today we are going to present our topic culture and identity. Before we begin, I will introduce the members of my group. My name is Minh Hơi and my teammate is her name is Phương Thủy. Here is an overview of our recent station. First, we will introduce our topic, then we will talk about our research question and survey methodology. And after that, we will resend the survey result, analyze the finding, and finally share our conclusion. Now, let's begin with the introduction. Our topic is culture and identity. When people start living in different countries, they often lose their tradition and adapt to new ones. Culture influence the way people think, behave, and identify themselves. Therefore, this survey aims to explore how culture influences the identity of university students and how cultural values shape their beliefs and behavior. And the next, we move on to research question. To guide our survey, we focus on two main research questions. The first question is how the cultural background influence university student personal identity. And the second question is how do traditional cultural values affect student lifestyle and social behavior. And now we move on to surveys methodologies. We use Google Form to collect response from 25 Văn Lang University students, and the survey was conducted on um, June 10 and June 13 in Ho Chi Minh City. Our participants were between 19 and 23 years old. The information collected help us analyze how culture influence student identity and daily life. And now we will continue with the next part of our recent station.
So move to the survey result. We're gonna show the result of our questionnaire. With the first question about the gender, uh, our like most of our respondents are female. It takes 70.8%, and the least is prefer not to say 4.2%. And the next question is about the academic field that they belong to at Valent University. So the most was selected is design and art major. It was take 28%, and the least selected is tourism 4%. The next question is about how important is culture to your personality identity. So people choose very important the most with 72%, and neutral unimportant and very unimportant is was not selected. With a question about do you enjoy learning about Vietnamese traditional culture? So people choose strongly enjoy the most, 45.8%. Do not enjoy much or do not enjoy at all. It was not selected. The next question. Have you ever felt pressure to follow cultural expectation? And surprisingly, that people choose sometimes the most, 45.8%, with rarely and never is this rarely and never or least never is 4.2%. With the question Uh, 11. Have you ever changed your behavior to fit a cultural expectation? So people choose often the most, 36%, and rarely and never are the same with 4%. With question, do you think your family culture influences your personality? So people choose influences the most, 56%, and with neutral or slightly influences were not selected. With the next question, which factor influences your identity the most? People would choose family and friends the most. It takes 40% the same. And the least are cultural tradition. There was under 5%. With a question asked about how often do you participate in traditional cultural activities or festivals. So people choose very important, very often the most. It takes 60%. With never option, it was not selected. Question number 10. How often do you practice Vietnamese culture, traditional in your daily life? So people choose very often the most, 40%, and the least are rarely and never was not selected. With the question number 8, how often do you engage your foreign cultural products like movies, music, or fashion? So people choose every day the most. It's easy to understand. It takes 60% at all, and uh, rarely and never was not selected. Question 12. To what extent has social media influenced your cultural identity? So people choose influences the most. It takes 56%, and with neutral and slightly influences were not selected. Question 13. Do you think preserving traditional culture is important? And as we guess, I strongly disagree. Option was selected the most, 75%, and the least are neutral and disagree and strongly disagree was not selected. Question 14. Should universities provide more activities related to traditional Vietnamese culture? So people choose strongly agree the most. It takes 64%, and the least are neutral and strongly disagree were not selected. And with the last question, overall, how connected do you feel to your cultural identity? So people choose connected the most. It takes 16.4%, and slightly connected or not connected were not selected. So we turn to the analysis about our result that we receive. We found out that the common themes is about culture is important part of our identity. Our respondents show that interest in Vietnamese traditional culture as young people and cultural expectation still influence behavior in daily life of them. Also, the major trend is kind of different. Response were generally positive toward traditional culture, but also they still felt pressure to follow the cultural expectation. When asked about how pressure they feel, they answer that sometimes feel pressure, and but they still feel that the culture is still very important to them. And also, they're interested in finding that despite the strong influence of global the culture and social media, most of respondents still value Vietnamese traditional culture, as we can see with question 8 and question 12. And with our group opinion, we agree that traditional culture remains important to young people, and most respondents view culture positively. And also, many young people still value and want to preserve our cultural identity despite being exposed to foreign cultures through the internet and social media. And with the conclusion to end the project, I'm gonna repeat the purpose again. Our purpose with this project, cultural and identity, we meant to explore how culture influenced the identity of universities and how cultural values shape beliefs and behaviors. And we also found out that the similarities that culture is very important to the respondents, and also those respondents enjoy learning about Vietnamese traditional culture a lot, but also the difference is some students felt more pressure from cultural expectation than others. And also the outstanding trends. It talks about many young people still care about Vietnamese traditional culture these days, and they are exposed to foreign cultures through the internet and social media. And also, when they're like interact with people around the world, they still value their own cultural identity as a Vietnamese. And with our group, we agree that traditional culture is still very important to young generation today, and young people should learn about traditional and preserve it in the future, and also be open to the new cultures from around the world and learn from all people in the world. And uh, uh, that's all about our project, cultural and identity. Thank you so much for following.